Good morning. Let's begin by taking a few breaths together. So first, just exhale, let it out. And take a deep breath in. And let it go. Let's breathe together again. Breathe in. And let go. One more deep breath in. And let go. So for 2023, our theme for the year is Living Out Loud. And each month this year, we're going to be exploring a different quality or aspect that we're inviting us as a community to live out loud. And so all of February, we've been exploring curiosity as a superpower and as the quality that we're inviting ourselves to live out loud into the world. And over the course of the month, we've been really talking about curiosity as the power of mind that allows us to open possibility. Really, that's what we have been talking about all month, is that we have to be curious, we have to be open, we have to be willing to realize that maybe there are things that we don't know that we might want to know that might help us live the life that we're trying to live, which therefore means we have to be open to find those things, right? So, before we jump into a little bit more about curiosity and wrap up this conversation, I'm a curious person. I'm always looking for new information. And can I just tell you some stuff that's blown my mind recently? Because it's fun. The James Webb Telescope, I refer to this often, I'm obsessed with these pictures, has shown us the most recent images that have come out have shown that there are super galaxies like 13.5 billion years out towards the edge, which now is rewriting all of physics, and it's like, maybe the Big Bang wasn't how it all started. Maybe the universe is way older than we thought. Maybe it's infinite. We're not really sure what's going on. We don't know. And that's amazing, right? Like, our creation story is now, up for recreation. It's like, oh, this is an interesting time to be alive, right? And then apparently after the earthquakes on the other side of the country a couple weeks ago, because of the reverberations that went through the planet, geologists were able to see some stuff they didn't before, and apparently they think there's a whole nother core inside the core of the Earth, and it has 5 layers instead of 4. And again, it's just what we thought was, turns out there's more. It's like, we think we know what's going on. We think we have an idea about the story of the planet we're living on or the universe that we're inhabiting. And then suddenly, we ask some questions, we learn some things, we find some stuff out and go, wait, we've got to start all over again. Which, if you're curious, is really exciting. If you're attached to the old story, it's problematic. There are people that are still upset that Pluto's not a planet anymore. And it's still out there. It just happens to be amongst, 10,000 other objects of the same size. And so it's not like we've demoted it, but we've edited the story. We've learned something new, and we're updating it. And it's a fascinating and exciting time to be alive, watching us learn about the nature of the universe that we live in, right? What's interesting to me is that big scale story shift that's around us seems to be happening on all the smaller scales as well, right? I feel like much of the discord, the dis-ease, the dysfunction, the issues of our world are because so many of us out there, maybe even in here, are very attached to the way things were, are very attached to the stories or the creation stories or the belief systems that we were raised with. And then when we're confronted with a reality or a world or other people who don't match that story or belief system, we can either be curious or really upset that our story doesn't match reality. You get to choose. And I think, this is just my opinion, but I think curiosity is a better choice. Yes. That we have to be willing to look at what is and be willing to ask what more could be here. Because to me, spirituality is about an exploration of the mystery. It's about believing in something that we can't see and yet is right in front of us all the time. You know, when I was a little child, my favorite constellation in the sky was the Pleiades, which is that little tiny one that's like made of a bunch of little tiny stars. And the reason I loved it so much when I was a kid is because if you look straight at it, you can't see it. It's too blurry and sort of like small. But if you look just past it, it like pops out at you. Right? It's because we all have a blind spot right in the center of our eyes. So anytime you're looking directly in front of you, you can't see what's there. And your mind is making up what's there and filling in the blank. Right? There's a little practice you can do with a little dot on a piece of paper and stare at it, and the dot will disappear. And that's showing you that your mind is making up the information of what's right in front of you. That's true all the time, not just in your little blind spot. That what's happening in front of us is a projection of what we believe is happening. And I've heard Chaplain Cheryl say many times in our mastermind group that we're part of, says, whatever the issue is never the issue. Whatever you think your problem is, whatever you think is happening, whatever you think it is, whatever's showing up, that's not the thing. There's something underneath it that is the cause. There's a pattern, there's a belief, there's a feeling, there's an emotion, there's a history, there's something unseen that is underneath whatever's happening in front of us that is actually the cause of what is. And we as human beings can get really caught up in what is and never address the cause. And if we want to be people of change, if we want to be evolutionaries, if we want to be permissionaries, inviting the rest of the world to be better, we have to be willing to look at the causes and stop fighting about the effects. Right? It's kind of like me, the little one, looking at the Pleiades. It's like if we just stare directly at the thing, we can't see it. We have to just look a little bit past it to see what's really there. Right? I was in Molly's Constellation workshop yesterday, which I highly recommend people doing. Next time it will be offered. It will be offered again. I'm not allowed to talk about the workshop, by the way, but I'm going to tell you one thing. One powerful thing I noticed in that workshop was there's an opportunity there to see that I have something going on in my life. There's some issue that I'm carrying. And whatever I think it is might be related to some ancestral pattern or belief that has been handed down to me. And it was amazing yesterday to watch someone say, this is my issue. And then we'd go 3, maybe 4 generations back in their story and see where it started and seeing how this thing and that thing are related, but maybe don't look anything alike on the surface. But if you're willing to peer through it and look back and say, well, what happened there? And how did that start? And where was the cause? Suddenly you can see the ripple effect of how this pattern is playing out over and over and over again through generations. And then we get the opportunity to shift that, to change it in our own lives. And I tell you that because it's one beautiful example of how we can see that there might be something that's showing up in our life, in our body, in our mind, or our experience, but whatever we see is not the issue. There's something underneath it that needs to be uncovered, that needs our attention, that needs our love. And that when we're willing to look down to the roots, that's where we can make deep change. Because what I believe is that the practices that we teach in Science of Mind, things like spiritual mind treatment, our 5-step affirmative prayer, meditation, affirmations, visioning, these practices invite us to step out of the what is right now and step back into a knowing of deeper truth. And what I know is that when we continuously return to a deeper truth, always saying, I can look at the effect, but go backwards and say, you know what? There's a base existence underneath it. All of that is God. All of that is love. All of that is energy. All of that is evolving consciousness. And then all this stuff's playing out on top of it, but underneath it, God and only God. If we can bring our attention back to that over and over and over again, we can change the codes of what's happening down in the subtle layers of our being. Our consciousness can shift and change over time. And curiosity is going to be the thing that's going to lead us there. If any of you have participated in my synthesis work, you know that we talk a lot about the entelechy. The entelechy is a Greek word, and it refers to the lure of becoming. That each one of us has a lure, a presence that is part of us, that is always calling us forward, inviting us to be our greater self, to be our better self, to step into the who that we're meant to be. And it requires a sort of engaged curiosity to feel that lure, to feel the things that are calling us inside of our heart and mind, and be able to reach out to them and say, how can I move in that direction? How can I become that? How can I step into the next? And it's our curiosity that can be the compass that leads us through life when all of the wanderings and wantings that move through our mind are calling us somewhere, but we've got to decipher where it's taking us. We have to be able to listen to what's mine and what's the world and what is my, all the layers we put on top of it. If we're curious, if we're willing to be open, there is something calling each and every one of us. And if we really want to learn to live curiosity out loud, the thing that I want to throw into this collective mind today is for each one of us to contemplate, if you had one question that is calling you, pulling on you, tapping on your heart, whispering in the back of your mind, if you had one question that you could just chew on until it becomes something else, what would that be for you? I've shared with you multiple times before that one of my unanswerable questions that pins my curiosity as my compass point and always pulls me forward is, how is this God? If God is all there is, that's the base of my belief, then everything that comes my way, I can ask this one question: how is this God? And then I get to churn on it. I get to chew on it. I get to experience it. And little gems start to pop up in my awareness because I'm looking for that one thing. So for you, today, maybe this year, could you choose one question, or maybe just a quality, that you want to explore, that you want to be the navigator, the explorer of, right? We've talked about Sky exploring beauty and other qualities previously in this month. I want to know from each person here, what is your deep question? What is the quality or the aspect of life that you are all about exploring? Because if you dedicate yourself to a question, that question will start looking for you. I talked to someone a couple weeks ago when I was bringing this up, and she said, I left the service and I thought, the thing I want to contemplate in my life is expansion. And it had to do with a number of different things that they were looking for. And then she came back a week later and said, everywhere I look, I'm seeing this quality of expansion. It's part of the nature of the universe. It's happening there. It's happening here. If you choose a question and start to look for it, it's going to reveal itself. It's going to open itself. It's going to show itself to you. But you have to be able to claim for yourself what that is. So I want to just be silent for like 30 seconds. And I want to invite everyone to just close your eyes and just think for yourself. In my heart, in my mind, in my longing, in my fear, what is the one question that keeps coming up? What is the one quality, perhaps, that I want to be the explorer of? That I'm willing to dedicate myself to becoming the answer to this question. Take a deep breath. Would everyone just turn to someone near you and tell them what your question or quality is? And for those of you online, maybe put that in the chat so we can see that later and you can see that to each other. So really quickly, just turn to someone and very quickly just tell them, what is the question you're seeking? What is the quality that you want to explore? All right, take a deep breath. Let go. Take another breath. Bring your attention back. One more deep breath in. And don't worry, you can talk about this more at social hour afterwards. One of my dreams for this community is that we could walk up to any one person in this room when you're here on a Sunday after service or before, that you could ask anyone in this building, what's your question? What's your quality? What is it that you're living out loud this year? And that we could all answer that for each other. What if you came into this place each week and you knew that there were people here who are willing to hold you accountable to your question, to your curiosity, or to that which you are wanting to live out loud this year? And so I want to invite all of us to just allow this question about curiosity we've been having all month to begin to inform where your living out loud is going to take you this year. And I'm going to start asking people when I see you, what your question is. What's your quality? What are you exploring this year? Because whatever you choose, I'm expecting you're going to become the expert of. You are going to become the living example of. And I want to know what's happening in this room. Because what's happening in this room, we can then take out into the world, and let's bring these questions and qualities and explorations into our families, into our communities, into the places where, into our neighborhoods, into the places where the conversations need to be had. But if we can arrive with our curiosity, each one of us holding this deep exploration that we're carrying, there is something here that wants to be revealed through each one of us. So let's be explorers this year and learn how to live out loud in a new way, each one of us claiming that which we are going to be the channel for, because each one of us is inviting something new into the world. Okay? Yeah? Okay. Okay. All right. Okay. Take a deep breath and let it go. Another deep breath in and let go. And so as we breathe together, let us just drop down a little deeper. And I begin by claiming the one truth that I know above all else, that there is one seamless presence that is living and breathing throughout the entirety of the universe. It is this one that I call God, who is unfolding in every circumstance, who is participating in every life, who is unfolding throughout the entirety of evolution, every when and everywhere. One life, one power, one presence, God and only God. But more than that, it is who we are. This presence to which I refer is to consciousness, the mind, the power, and the presence that speaks through me in this moment. This one that I speak of is the one who is hearing these words in each and every one of us in this place. So let us remember here and now that each one of us has the opportunity to be a powerful channel for the infinity of possibility to move through our choice, intention, attention, and participation in life and become the actual. That each one of us can be a place where we can reach into the mind of God itself and choose a question, choose a quality, choose a way of doing or being, and bring it through us into the world in a new way. Let each one of us be the evolutionaries that the world needs. Let us be the place where the more, where the greater, where expansion is taking place. And so I speak a word for this community, knowing that we are stepping into a new dimension of living out loud. Let us be curious about what is possible. Let us look to the universe, to our life, to each other with that childlike curiosity and willingness to have our minds blown, to see something new, to experience something unexpected, to wake up each and every day realizing that this day is a brand new day and anything could happen. And from that place of deep expectancy and willingness to see the new, to be open to possibility, we become the place where it happens. So let each one of us be an opening for the more. And so I am grateful for this community, for these people, for curiosity itself. And let us remember here and now that there is indeed a power for good in this universe that is so much greater than we are. And yet, it is who we are. Let it flow through us and guide us in everything that we do. And let us surrender to that lure of becoming that is always calling us forward. And let us be guided every step of the way. And so for this, and so much more, I just say yes. And so it is.